All right, folks, so what we want to do now is the second part of our worksheet. So we spent the first part creating these different line drawing techniques. What we want to do now is apply our choice of those to each of the different illustrations and complete the rest of the worksheet. So what I would recommend is that you take your layer that you started with and duplicate it. If you right click, you can go to duplicate or use the keyboard shortcut Control J. And I'm going to rename this layer part 2, just so in case I mess up, I'll have the original unfilled worksheet underneath. Okay, so on part 2, I'm going to use my magic wand tool and then my choice of brushes to complete the rest of this worksheet. So right here is a part you may miss if you didn't read the directions closely. Basically, they want you to use a very, very small brush to connect these two dots, then kind of more of a medium brush to connect those two dots, and then a large brush to connect these dots. And if you are a stickler for perfection, you can hold shift and just connect between two clicks to create a straight line. But it's okay if your line meanders as well. That is fine by me. Okay, so let's talk more about completing each of these three-dimensional objects by adding some value and shading. What we want to think about is a light source. So what I'm going to do is give myself just like a tiny little arrow up here at the top to remind me that the light is coming from this side, kind of the top right-hand corner in each of the images. So I'll leave the lightest areas here and put the shadows kind of over there. You don't have to do it the same way, but that's just how I'm planning to do it. So what I'm going to do is hit B for brush, and I'm going to hit the F5 key. I think maybe I'll want to start with a stippling brush. We've used those before, so I'll grab stippling, throw some scatter on. Okay, we want a little bit of scatter, maybe a little bit of angle jitter. All right, and I'm going to shrink this down. So with the cone, I'm going to press W for the magic wand. I'm going to hit B for the brush, and I'm just going to hit the whole cone with a little pass. Okay, and then if I decide to take my scattering and make it a little less obvious, I can then kind of increase the density on the far side away from where the light is. So if the light's coming from here, obviously it would be brighter there. I can press W from the magic wand here. Maybe I'll give this whole thing a pass of very spread out dots. Okay, but then I can concentrate some dots here to give it the sense of a shadow. Okay, and then for the background, I think I'll hit W, B for brush. Maybe I'll do a lot of smaller dots. Cool. All right, so that is done in my mind. I can switch up my brush tip. Maybe I'll do a more of a hatching brush. Maybe I'll thin it out, change the angle. Let's look at the original brush. Let's undo all of that. Go to the brush tip shape, maybe this one, rotate it, thin it out. There we go. All right, so we're getting some cool spacing. That's kind of fun. We'll see how that works with a smaller size. All right, so again, I'm assuming that the light is coming from the top right-hand corner. So I'm going to press W, select this one. I'm going to hit B for brush. Maybe I want to rotate that. So I'm just going to hit this a couple of times so it's darkest on that side. All right, that's looking good. Maybe I'll do a little bit on the top. It's going to be brightest, but I'll have a little bit of fall off. So I'll hit B for brush. Maybe just kind of do a curve like that, and then another one, hit it a couple of times as the light falls away. That'll work. All right, so for the floor, W for the magic wand, B for brush. And again, you can mix it up if you want to do a different brush. Maybe I'll do spaced out scattered circles for this one. Let's see, we'll do some, I don't think we need angle jitter, but maybe we'll do a little size jitter. Okay, I'm just going to hit the floor with those. And then for the, you know what, before I get rid of my selection, I probably ought to go in and add the shading. So B for brush, go back to my previous brush tip. So this one, I think it might have been. Well, that's all right. I can do my shading with any technique. So maybe I'll add it using this one. Right. Adjust my angle. Okay, we got a nice shadow there. If I feel like it was a little too dense too quickly, I probably ought to adjust my scattering and my spacing. There we go. So I can add that a little more slowly and kind of build it up a little at a time. All right. So then I'm casting a shadow based on where the light is hitting the object. And then for the background, let's see, B for brush. Go ahead and grab, ooh, that's a fun one. I'm going to change the size so it's small, but add a lot of spacing. Just hit that with a little pattern in the background. All right, works well. Okay, W for the magic wand. Okay, we're going to have our light coming from the top right, so this will be the brightest. Next brightest, I'll have my shadow over here. So, any brush will do. We've got all different ways of making lines. How about these guys? That's kind of cool. Maybe not as much scatter. And even play with the angle jitter. Sure. Now what if we squish them? Rotate them and squish them. Yeah. Let me turn off scatter and shape dynamics real quick. What if I squish them? I'll do like kind of a dashed line thing going on here. All right. So I'm going to hit that pretty densely. Okay. W for the next one, B for brush. I need more scatter, and maybe I'll take my size down, so I don't want it to be as dark. Okay. And then on the top, W, brush, do even more spacing, so only hit it a couple of times. Now, for the floor, I can do any different brush, or I can stick with this one. Maybe I'll turn off, I don't know, shape dynamics or size jitter. We'll just hit it with a single pass, nice and small. Okay. W, nope, I need to stick with my brush. Try to get the cast shadow here. I'll just add a little more density so that it looks like we're casting a shadow away from where the light is. Okay, W for the background, B for brush. Let's try a different brush tip just for fun. What if we did, ooh, those are cool. I'm gonna space them out a bunch. Plenty of scatter, plenty of size jitter. Maybe even more scatter and space. All right, so we've effectively been able to show the light hitting the object and the shadow being cast. We're importing values. All right, what you do for the spheres is entirely up to you. I would press W. Remember, if we're having the light come from the top side, we're going to leave this the least densely packed, and we'll add our density down here. Now this brush needs a whole lot less spacing. All right, woo, that's a little too much scatter. So bring the scatter in, bring the spacing out. Okay, we'll add more spacing. We don't want it to be as dense. It can be nice and dense down at the bottom. We'll do some smaller size. Some more scatter. All right, that's one. Let's switch up our brush tip. Maybe we'll go with our old friend the stippling brush. That's all the way up here. So I'm going to shrink this down, press W, B for brush, use my left bracket key to shrink it down. Do a pass, a pass, a pass, a pass. Okay, remember leaving the top corner more or less open, and then we can really increase our density on the bottom left in the shadowy area away from that. So that'll give us a sense of form and a sense of depth. Control D, press W. Now let's try it with another brush. We can try the hatching brush. This will give us effectively a nice crosshatch. Let's see, how does it look there? It's good. Okay, and we'll do some more passes on the shadow side because we want to build up that density. Okay, very dense, and then let's add some more spacing. And a whole lot of spacing. Cool. And that's it, gang. Save your work, export a JPEG or a PNG, call it part 2 demo worksheet, and you're done.